Hello, welcome to the 2024 New Jersey International Film Festival Q&A series with filmmakers. And we have a really special guest here today, and we'll be talking about her feature film for about a half an hour. And before I introduce her to you, I'd like to let you know that the 29th Annual New Jersey International Film Festival will be taking place between May 31st and June 9th. At least the competition part of the festival will be between those dates on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. Our festival is a hybrid festival, which means you can watch the films online for 24 hours on their show date. And there'll also be in-person screenings that take place either at 5 o'clock or 7 p.m. And so if you'd like to check out our schedule, you go to njfilmfest.com. You just click on where it says current events, and you will see a link with a big red button that says tickets for the 2024 New Jersey International Film Festival. Click on that, and that'll open up our Eventive website. The ticket that you purchase is good for the in-person as well as the online version. And yes, we have people that do both. They watch the film during the day, and then they come and hang out with the filmmakers and ask them questions after the in-person screening. But today we have Mariya Somova, and she is the director of the amazing film, I Want to Live on Mars, that it was shot in Centralia, Pennsylvania, more or less. And I think our judges absolutely love this film. And I guess I get to ask the first standard question. Tell us a little bit about why you made this film, Mariya, and welcome.
Thanks so much for having us and for screening our film at your festival. Um, I moved to Pennsylvania during COVID. I moved from LA, and I just had this story that was just really written about just two young girls, two characters, Breezy and Pickles. At that time, it was just a bunch of dialogue.
Mm.
And because it was still COVID, I didn't even know if I will be able to make this film or how I'm going to make this film, where I'm going to make this film. Um, I knew for sure I could make it in LA. And when we moved to Pennsylvania, I kind of started looking for like alternative locations and alternative ways to make this film. And my partner at that time, he's also executive producer of the film, Joe Cyrus, and he did the score.
Mm.
He told me about this place in Centralia, and he's originally from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, but he spent 15 years on the West Coast, and that's how we met.
Mm.
And he told me about this place in Centralia that's been on fire since 1960, and the population of the place is like only 5 people. And when he told me about it, um, immediately I was like, let's go. So we went over there and we just scouted this little town, and it is pretty much abandoned besides the 5 people that live there.
Mm.
And there's literally nothing out there. It's so middle of nowhere. It's just as middle of nowhere as you can possibly imagine. There's nothing out there. Like there's no reception as well,
Mm.
so which is like reflects in the film. And I took a bunch of photos and videos of the Centralia. And when I came home, I was like, oh my God, what would it be like to have these two characters, right? They're very young, and just like putting them in Centralia. And what would it be like being a teenage girl growing up in a place like that?
Mm.
And that's how the film came about.
I remember I had a friend who went to Centralia. He was going to do a photo essay because these fires are underground. They're underground fires, and
Yeah.
kind of push people out as a result. And you're an immigrant from Ukraine, as I found out. And
Yeah.
I thought about, well, maybe Centralia is meant to be a little bit like Chernobyl. Maybe it's a little bit connected to that kind of environment, which is a no man's land, and yet there's still people that live there. And
Yeah.
the Babas that live in Chernobyl are really pretty amazing. And the animals kind of take over. And I really, really like these shots of stray animals and insects that you've filmed. And I wondered if they are a reflection of your two lead characters and the people that are living there. they're kind of stray humans.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
So
so a little bit.
mm,
Yeah, I mean, essentially just I think I wanted to make a film about lonely people,
mm,
and I think kind of I accomplished that. I think that all the characters are kind of um, it kind of they only interact with each other, and that was on purpose. And it's very clear that they only have each other at this
mm,
point in time,
mm,
and that they just kind of exist in this very strange kind of um, abandoned environment and just abandoned town, and they just don't really have um, they can't really there isn't much room for like self-expression or just really emotion or just kind of yeah they I think they just really like um I don't know how to explain, but just kind of in their own little world, but there isn't much else that they have around, or just yeah there isn't much else that they have going on in their lives. Really, it's very like very repetitive, like everything they do is very much like over and over. It's very like routine like
mm.
um
Well, the two lead actors are just amazing. I mean, Pickles played by Bethany Stolar and Breezy played by Claire Haller. They're just an amazing duo. How did you find them? I mean, their chemistry is really, really wonderful. Although it starts off a little bit on they're quite different, but then they
yeah.
become connected to each other. And tell us a little bit about them.
So I knew Claire from LA,
Mm,
and she was my first choice for Breezy.
mm,
Um, However, when I sent her the script, a lot of it was still kind of a little bit underdeveloped. So she definitely had a lot of questions about the character. And I think that a lot of most of it was kind of like she talks a lot. There's a lot of, she's like talking over people all the time. I'm like, yeah, she's kind of one of those people. She just sucks the air out of the room. Like she just wants, attention
mm,
so bad. And I think that's kind of, she really understood that. And it just, how like the character came from that conversation really.
mm,
And then Bethany, it was very random. We never met before, and it was still COVID, so I couldn't audition people in person.
mm,
So I posted just an ad about looking for an actress for this film,
mm,
and I posted it really everywhere, like Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, just any really Mandy.com, like anywhere casting, backstage,
mm,
and I probably got like thousands of submissions for this part. And I remember like I had a lot of great audition tapes coming my way, but I remember like, it's not quite right, it's not quite right. And then when I saw Bethany's tape, it was just she's Pickles, it's just, and I showed it to Joe Cyrus, my executive producer, and he was like, same. He was like, she's the girl for the part.
mm.
And yeah, and it just kind of yeah, and then she came on set, and it just magic happened.
So how long did it take for the film to be shot? And it was all shot in Centralia then, and I guess Mars, Pennsylvania as well. So,
We end up shooting a lot of the like exterior, like a lot of B-roll, a lot of exterior shots. We shot some of that in Centralia.
hmm,
um we couldn't shoot as much as we wanted to because it is not safe.
really?
One When we went over there at some point, our executive producer, literally, we were kind of shooting around this abandoned house,
Hmm.
and he literally stepped on the nail and it went through his foot. and there's no hospital around there. So it was crazy. He had to like categorize it in the field and then spend like hour and a half driving out
To
of
get
the
it.
way, driving to like find a hospital to get a tetanus shot. Like,
Yeah.
so it wasn't like the safest environment, you know. And we had a lot of young people, you know. We had a 5-year-old on set, you know. It was just making things very complicated. Also, like, um, it's kind of, it's a lot of like people live there, but it's not like really livable, if that makes sense. It is a very it's definitely, it has a lot of character, but it's not like a, yeah, I don't totally recommend spending a lot of time there in Centralia.
Mm.
Like there are definitely moments like we would like hear gunshots, you know, in the middle of just, and we're like, it's like kids playing with guns, like what, like what's happening, you
Yeah.
know? Like it was a little spooky
Mm.
at sometimes. There's a lot of like just trash all over the place, like just abandoned, just things lying around. So we couldn't really film there as much as we wanted to because of all those factors.
Mm.
So we found this place called Yellow Dog Village,
Mm.
and it's only like 40 minutes away from Pittsburgh,
Mm.
and it's an abandoned town that's been abandoned for a very similar reason, and it's been abandoned since 2010.
Wow.
And this guy Joe, he bought this town and he preserved it as is.
Wow.
So you go from house to house to house, and it's like literally like the piano is still there, TV's still there, all the toys are still there. Like, so people kind of picked up and left, but whatever they left behind is still in the houses.
Mm.
And he hasn't been like um upkeeping the houses on purpose. Like he wanted to just, he wanted them to like remain just the way they are.
Mm.
So you can see like the paint peeling off the walls and like a hole in the ceiling, like the cutlery in the kitchen, the records like all still there. So we use that location like as an alternative to Centralia.
Mm.
And then we filmed a lot as well in like Tioga County, Pennsylvania,
Mm.
which is a very much middle of nowhere as well, but a very beautiful middle of nowhere.
Mm.
So that's kind of where Pickles's trailer is, and a lot of the scenes we filmed around there as well. And our friend Tyler, he happened to just help us out and like lend that trailer to us for the film.
Wow.
So he owns that property, so we're basically filming on his property and like around the area,
Mm.
which is also very much similar to what, you know, Centralia looks like, has that abandoned factor, but also like very beautiful, like visually, like there's like woods and you know the lake, and then you have this trailer, and also the area itself has a lot of abandoned properties there. So a lot of the properties that you see also were filmed around that area as well.
So the sequence, the image behind me is from towards the end of your film when the girls do some mushrooms, and
Yeah.
I wonder if that house is also part of the town that Joe bought, because that house is just amazing, and it's like a time warp house, but it's quite beautiful. And I wonder if that's part of that town that he bought or someplace else.
I found that house in Marietta, Pennsylvania,
Hmm.
and it is a Victorian mansion that's been basically preserved just as is as well. So
Wow.
like all the furniture, wallpaper, everything, it's just from that era basically. And we're so lucky that we had a chance to film there. And thank you, wanted to thank Rachel. She's probably not going to watch this, but thank you, Rachel. She's the one who owns the place, for
Wow.
letting us film there. It and it was yeah, it was an amazing experience. And yeah, it's located in Marietta, Pennsylvania, and it's, yeah, it was a fantastic location that again we got lucky to have a chance to film there.
It's one of my favorite sequences because as you know, I'm a filmmaker as well. I fell in love with this kaleidoscopic lens, and Adam, I guess your DP, Adam Nino, he
Yeah.
uses the same lens, and I love that because it, you know, what they see, everything, they started to trip a little bit and
Yeah.
get to see their perspective. But your film is pretty scatological. I mean, there's lots of yeah, bodily fluids that we see.
Yeah.
Was that meant to kind of reinforce the environment that they're located in? In fact, when Breezy first arrives with her mom to this location, she says, "This is a shithole,"
Yeah.
So, but it's not really a shithole. I think it ends up becoming beautiful in its own right, but yet there is that element of it being like a
Yeah.
shithole. So is it meant to be someplace else, someplace that or is it meant to be one of our judges thought it was a commentary on, rural America, and
Yeah.
I wondered if that was something that you were consciously trying to present as well.
I think when I was a kid, I spent a lot of time outdoors,
Hmm,
and I was a very lonely child. I don't know why.
hmm,
My mom always said that I was like, she's like, you're a weird kid. Like, you had your own thing going on. Like,
hmm,
and I remember spending a lot of time by myself
hmm,
outdoors,
hmm,
but I remember like not really caring about, I don't know, like, I mean, obviously you're not like self-aware when you're a kid, you just doing your own thing, you know? But I remember like not really trying to connect with other kids whatsoever.
hmm,
Um, and even my mom told me that my first day in school was like she kind of dropped me off, but she was a little worried because I didn't talk much and I didn't have that, friends. And um she was like worried a little bit about me, so she wanted to just kind of watch me from far away to see how I do it, like with people and other kids and whatnot.
hmm,
And she was like, I was watching you and you were literally sitting as like on top of this little hill by yourself, and you're watching everybody around you, but you would not talk to anybody.
hmm,
And she was like, I was like waiting for you to come say hi to someone and you just would not. You're just sitting there and you're observing.
hmm,
And I think it's kind of um I think I kind of this is like in the film as well, like
hmm,
maybe intentionally, maybe not, but as a kid, I definitely was like a lot like Pickles, where I'd be like, "Oh, I'm gonna go sit on the porch and play with this little bugs that I see around me," or like I'm gonna like, like just read. I was reading constantly, or climbing trees, or like just this apple, like I don't know. I was fascinated by just like just nature and the world,
hmm,
and I had so much curiosity
hmm,
about it. And then I think later on, the fascination became like I was fascinated with people
hmm.
and curious about people. Um, and I still am in a lot of ways. But yeah, just I guess like that weirdness and that, Pickles has, and just her kind of introverted like personality. I think that's probably coming from me in a lot of ways, you know what I mean? And also just the fact that like she doesn't have to talk. It's kind of, you can tell that she has a lot of compassion and a lot on her mind. It's like she doesn't have to say anything, kind of, you know what I mean, as a character.
Yeah, just the interaction she has with the rabbit towards the beginning, and she seems quite withdrawn, but she has, like, she's very protective of that rabbit, and she will get really mad at the neighbor, and
Yeah.
so she has this kind of protective motherly side, which I think helps compensate for the lack of a mother. Well, that we'll find out
Yeah.
about that with Breezy's character.
Yeah.
And I guess I wondered, they become perhaps more than friends by the end of the film, but I think you leave that very appropriately open-ended. And their relationship is one that you think that they're now going to have each other, at least
Yeah.
in a very kind of uh, downtrodden world. And I think it's a really beautiful film. I think they're just amazing. I think the guys are really great too. You really love them as well. But I think the two female leads are the focus, and
Of the film, yeah.
justifiably, yeah. I would like to read you some of the judges' comments just so
Okay.
you could know about them and so our audience could see why they should absolutely come and check out this film. This judge wrote, "I adored this film. Such a beautiful look into poverty in America and the many different ways it can look. Not only that, but the bond the characters formed with each other to help everyone make it through the rough lives they were dealt. I especially love Breezy's character arc through this, from being a spoiled girl to giving up everything and being happy as long as she has her person." So that was one comment. She wrote beautiful film at the end. Another female judge wrote, "I really enjoyed the backdrop of abandoned, unglamorous middle of nowhere Pennsylvania. The town itself feels like a character all of its own." And then uh, one judge thought it moved a little slow, but your film reminds me of European cinema where it's not an American style where they hit you over the head with car chases
Yeah.
and a lot of, over the top action, but I think it builds very nicely. And I really, really appreciate the film's, the beauty of the film, the cinematographer, the music. You should tell Joe also that the music is really pretty amazing and that the ensemble just pulls it all together. So we're really happy to be showing this film.
Thank you.
What I'd like to do now is share screen and show our audience how they can buy some tickets. So just
Okay.
bear with me for 1 second. Right. So normally our website would be here and you would see everything open up for you at this location. Mariya may be coming to the screening, and if you do, this would be the hall where you would be coming. It's at the University of Rutgers University in New Brunswick, New Jersey. It's New Jersey's largest university. It's the state university. And when you get to the homepage, you make sure you click current events, which bounces you down a box. And this is the holding page for the festival that gives you basic information, but you absolutely must push this buy tickets button. And that opens up our website to you. And then you'll see 5 more red buttons that you absolutely should explore. This is our welcome page, which gives you basic information. There are links where you can just go to buy tickets right away. There's directions on how to get to the location. If you do decide to come, you can park for free at the university lots, but you must register your vehicle. So you click on this registration link. It takes absolutely 40 seconds to register. It's really easy. Our sponsors and our staff are listed here below. You go back to the top of the page. You want to get an overview of the festival, but in textual form. You click on schedule and you can scroll down. And I didn't even mention when your film is playing, which is bad for me, but Friday, June 7th is the date. It's going to be online for 24 hours and in person at 7 p.m. I Want to Live on Mars is the feature film that will be preceded by 4 shorts. One, Pripyat House. I purposely booked this because it was shot at Chernobyl by a British animator. It's really quite lovely film. Then there's 2 local films. 5 Loaves by Nicholas Diodato explores the food pantry at the homeless shelter in New Brunswick, New Jersey. And Muted by Chris Zhu. He's from Bridgewater. And he focuses on the trials and tribulations of a young Chinese American woman. And then The Miracle of You had the same kind of energy as your film. It's a very interesting experimental film that dives into the mind of the lead character. And then I Want to Live on Mars is the feature film. And I know that Nicholas and Chris will be there, and I'm hoping Mariya will come as well, and maybe bring bring Joe and somebody else that was working on the film. So you can check out the schedule that way. You can also go up to menu and click back to the welcome page. You want to get information about every single one of the films. We have little squares for each one of them. So you can click on I Want to Live on Mars and get information that way. And you can click on the Select a Showing button to get information about the film. You can also go to the tickets page, which is where you want to go if you want to buy tickets. You would click on this one, click on the pre-order button, and if you've never purchased a ticket with us, you do have to register again. But again, it takes 30 seconds and you'll never have to do it again. So I want to go back one more time to our festival site page. you want to buy tickets to the whole festival, you can. You'll save a lot of money. It's like half off. Plus, you'll get tickets to the Marissa Nadler concert. We're really proud to be doing a concert series. This is the second one of our that we've been doing. There's always visuals behind it, so it's more like an audio visual concert. I don't know if we'll do that with Marissa, but it'll be an interesting light show. And then I go back to our welcome page and just remind people you can find everything by exploring the website. And I'm going to stop sharing and say thank you to Mariya. I really enjoyed your film, and I look forward to having it being presented on our big screen. And so I'm going to stop recording now, but say thank you first. Thank you, Mariya.
Thank you so much.